North Carolina, a state renowned for its friendly and hard-working people. A national leader in agriculture, industry, and computer science. In state-of-the-art facilities at Durham's Research Triangle Park, video games are in production. Designers, animators, sound designers, engineers, and artists are creating the entertainment of the future. And now, thanks to the miracle of fiber optics, we can take a look inside the top-secret video game laboratory at Insomniac Games. For today's broadcast, my colleagues and I are going to use technology and bullet points to give you a brief look at our laboratory of fun.
First playable level. Now you big city folk may think it's easy to make a fun game, but on the farm we know that fun is a sneaky critter. You gotta corner it, catch it, and then hang on tight before it gets away.
Now for something truly awesome.
This is a question for anyone or everyone who wants to answer it. I don't want the series to end, but if it inevitably did, how would you like to see the series end?
Wow, okay. Yeah, you know, I don't know, that's a very good question, and I've never been asked that before, I don't think. I think there's, first of all, I think the universe and its characters are big enough that it's almost self-sustaining now. I think that it could last for years and years to come, whether or not it's us or anybody else. It's such a vibrant universe that I hope we never see the end of it. But it would be nice to see Ratchet find his final love exit. That's what I want to see that.
Yeah.
Do you have any good anecdotes or stories about making a case in front of the Supreme Court earlier this year?
Wow. So I don't know if you guys heard the question, but it was, do I have any good anecdotes about making the case in front of the Supreme Court? I was fortunate to attend the Supreme Court argument that was where they were discussing the California anti-video game bill, and I was also fortunate to be involved in one of the amicus briefs that was submitted to the Supreme Court. However, I was a spectator, so I was in the audience and kind of watching raptly as both lawyers were up there arguing their side. It was interesting. I won't go on too long because that gets dry. But what's cool about the Supreme Court is it's nothing like you expect. I thought that what would happen is I'd go in and for an hour watch two lawyers just jawing about the law and throwing out words I didn't understand. Well, what really happens is each lawyer gets up there, he starts talking, and after 30 seconds, the judges jump on him like dogs on raw meat. It's crazy. I mean, they're poking holes in their arguments, they're trying to knock them off balance, and they do a really good job because you're talking about a bunch of the smartest people around who know their stuff, and even if they don't know it, they look like they act like they know it. And these guys are backpedaling the entire time. And I think the game is whoever looks less like a fool at the end probably wins. Anyway, that was my impression. It was really entertaining to watch.
Sounds like the exact opposite of our process.
Have when presenting a new idea or presenting a new pitch document to Sony, is there anything like they sit there and go, this is stupid, but you guys try to make it work?
Yeah, I'll take that one. Yeah. So we pitched to more than just Sony, but the pitch process is it depends. It's an interesting exercise because it's all about your charisma, I think, your presentation, and to some degree the idea you're presenting. And we're lucky in that we've had receptive audiences for a long time. And when we were pitching Ratchet Clank, for example, Sony really wanted the idea to work because we just come off of this, I won't call it disaster necessarily, but a change in direction. And Sony was behind us all the way. And they really wanted to see something that they could put out there to represent the PlayStation 2. And they were behind us going like, yeah, okay. So when we did present something great, something that fired up their imagination, it worked. So it was about selling, really, and selling the vision, the dream. I don't know if that answered your question, but sort of, okay.
At a game day, one of y'all's community days, I think a few years ago, I recall hearing one of you say that some of the feedback you got from a previous title was that some people felt that Ratchet was really mean to Clank, and that was something that you wanted to address. And I can't help but think of in the last game how much mileage you guys got out of keeping them apart from each other. And the players really wanting them to come together. And they finally come together and it feels great. Can you talk a bit about how the relationship between Ratchet and Clank has evolved over the course of the games?
I'm not sure which time that came up, but that kind of thing comes up pretty frequently when we focus tests, where we'll essentially write something for a character, either be it because the player needs to know it or just because it's flavor between that character and other NPCs. But we'll get feedback like that, where we'll think that a joke is funny, but then some people will sort of interpret it as mean-spirited, and we take that kind of thing to heart. So we'll always kind of go back and revamp and make sure that the relationship works. And I remember we were running into that problem on a cracking time with Azimuth, because Azimuth would just tell you what to do. He would say, okay, you need to fire that ship, you need to go over here and do this. And people were sort of tired of being told what to do. So we sat down with a bunch of designers and figured out how we're going to fix this friendship, because we really wanted to feel like Ratchet and Azimuth were a pair. And we've figured out that all that we needed really to do is just have Azimuth take a bigger role in battles, and he just needed to sort of feel more like he's fighting with you. And I think we run into the same thing with Clank too, where we want it always to feel like, even though Clank is the guy that's 9 times out of 10 on Ratchet's back and is telling him how to defeat this enemy, that it doesn't feel like he's being preachy or that Ratchet's remarks are feeling snarky. So we go back and forth and fine tune that stuff a lot through every game.
Yeah, just to add that really quickly, in the first game I think we were looking at more of a buddy movie kind of model where these two guys are always at each other's throats a little bit. There's always that tension there. And then we realized that really isn't what makes the story great. It's about them being friends, and the main conflict is them having to go on this big adventure and dealing with the main villain. And so I think in the first one we got a lot of great feedback from a lot of you about how Ratchet was a little bit of a jerk, and so we definitely toned that down for the second and for the future ones.
Collections released recently, like the God of War collection and the Slide collection. I was just wondering if you guys were thinking about maybe doing a Ratchet and Clank collection.
That would be awesome.
I will.
Yeah, we love it.
I'd play that. I don't think actually I don't know what the answer to that is.
I will answer.
Okay.
So, as always with the HD collections, those are generally, they aren't done by the studios who make the original games. They're usually kind of sourced to different studios, and it's not up to us to do that since Sony kind of owns all the Ratchet and Clank games. And I think the best thing, if you guys want to see more HD collections, is to buy the ones that come out, like the Slide collection and things like that, because if those are really successful, then Sony's going to have a lot of incentive to do future ones. So, we would love it. I think you guys would love it. And the more you rate Sony and the more you kind of support the current collections that are out there, the better the chances of that happening in the future. And I'm going to pass it back to these guys. We got time.